Am I the asshole for refusing to make Starbucks drinks for my family on Thanksgiving? Am I the asshole for refusing to make Starbucks drinks for my family on Thanksgiving? I, 28F, worked at Starbucks for a little over 2 years, and ever since then, my family has loved asking me to recreate their favorite drinks at home. I don't mind doing it once in a while, but it's not exactly my favorite thing, especially because I don't have all the equipment or supplies that Starbucks has. This Thanksgiving, my mom hosted dinner and invited a bunch of extended family. After we finished eating, she casually announced, "Okay, everyone, my name will be making Starbucks drinks for dessert." I was totally blindsided. Apparently, she had bought a bunch of syrups, whipped cream, and even a little espresso machine just for this. When I said I didn't really feel like making drinks for 15 plus people, my mom got super annoyed and said, "It's not that hard for you. You used to do this all the time at work." A few of my cousins started chiming in too, saying it would be fun and that they'd help. But I didn't come to Thanksgiving to play barista for the whole family, so I stood my ground. Now my mom is upset, saying I embarrassed her after she went out of her way to buy all the supplies. Some of my family thinks I was being selfish and that it wouldn't have taken that long. But I just wanted to enjoy the holiday, not work for it. Am I the asshole? Too long did not read. Former Starbucks barista. Mom announced I'd make Starbucks-style drinks for 15 plus people on Thanksgiving without asking me first. Refused because I wanted to relax, not work. Mom's upset. Family thinks I'm selfish. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. That's a really strange family dessert option. She totally blindsided you and had the audacity to say you embarrassed her. Honestly, it sounds like her, and several others, are using you when they don't feel like paying for Starbucks. Emma, maybe you should start charging them? That could get them to stop. Can I have a pumpkin spice? That would be $6 for a grande. Sometimes, money gets people to stop requesting things. Not the asshole. ETA. Thank you very much for the awards. Very kind of you. Honestly, no idea what they mean. But, thank you all the same. Just expressing my thoughts and trying to be respectful, of course. Take care. Not the asshole. She didn't ask you first and then expected you to perform for the family. You were right to stand your ground. I won't lie, a small part of me, had I been in your shoes, would have simply brewed and served a pot of coffee. After all, plain old coffee is a Starbucks drink, too. Hey everybody, Uncle Steve is an auto mechanic. Let's get everyone's cars lined up so he can work on them all. Not the asshole. You used to do this at work. You're absolutely right. So fucking pay me, then. Your mom should have asked you first before buying anything and definitely before announcing it. I'm by no means a professional, but with my at-home espresso machine and equipment, it takes me about 10 minutes to make a latte. I'm sure you'd be at least a little faster, and there is efficiency in numbers, but without professional equipment, I imagine it would take at least an hour still to make 15 drinks. While easy to do, that's still exhausting and a big ask for someone at a holiday party. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend, "Your pet peeve is inconsequential," while we were driving? My boyfriend was very upset at me last night because while we were driving, he said his pet peeve is when people drive on the freeway for only one exit. He said it bothers him if they get on the freeway only to get off at the next exit. I said, that is an inconsequential pet peeve because there's no traffic and it has no effect on you. I could tell it bothered him because later in the evening he was cold to me, so I apologized for invalidating his pet peeve. I realized everyone is entitled to their pet peeves, regardless of how they seem to me. But he remained cold the rest of the evening, so I asked if he was annoyed at me and he said yes. I asked him why and he said it was because I got on him earlier about his pet peeve. I said, but I apologized unprompted, and he said he's just going to need more time to get over it. I feel like his continued annoyance is disproportionate to the circumstance. Am I still the asshole here for what I said to him? Edited to add. He was not referring to my driving, he was referring to another car ahead of us that had a small boat secured to its hood. I said, that boat looks like it is not securely attached to that car. And then the car took the very next exit, so I said, at least they are getting off the freeway. Then he said, that's my pet peeve when someone drives on the freeway for only one exit. I mean, you said yourself that you were the asshole for shitting on his pet peeve. Or at least you implied it by apologizing for it. So the question here isn't, am I the asshole for what I said? It's, am I the asshole for being annoyed that my boyfriend is still annoyed, to which isn't really a conflict. P.S. The whole point of a pet peeve is that it doesn't affect you. Otherwise it's just a peeve. Everyone sucks here. All peeves are inconsequential when you come down to it. He's overdoing the sulking though. Mild Ash. It was a tiny bit rude when you got on him and invalidated his pet peeve. The whole point of a pet peeve is that it's an unusual or unexpected annoyance, where most people aren't bothered by it. Your partner seemed to overreact, because he took it really hard, acted cold for hours, and needed more time to get over it. Just in case, I should mention if your apology was defensive or ungenerous, then he's not overreacting to be upset for hours. A defensive or ungenerous apology is something like, "I'm sorry if you can't take a joke," or, "I'm sorry if you feel so sensitive." I'm assuming that did not happen. Sheesh. He'd hate that where I used to live there is literally a 1-mile stretch where you can take the highway, or the frontage road that runs along the side. Most people take the highway because the speed limit is 70, compared to the 45 of the frontage road. Or the several other places where there is no side roads at all and the only way to get places is to take the highway and literally go only one exit. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. What you said may not exactly be nice, but frankly you have a point. But what is more so influencing my opinion is how he reacts to it. He could have easily stood up for himself and called it a day. In a relationship, minor disagreements, if you can even call it that, shouldn't be a problem. He said he's just going to need more time to get over it. Why is he making it such a big deal? If I understand it right, it seems that this isn't the only incident in which he sulks so badly over something small. That's odd, to be honest. Sometimes I read these and laugh like this shit can't be real, but assuming it is. If that's his pet peeve, he must have a very easy life, lol. He sounds a little bit of a whiny loser, but maybe he's 16 or something. I dunno how old yins are. Regardless, you're not the asshole. Next time you're driving with him in the passenger seat, if I was you, I'd get on the highway just because, and get off at the next exit rolling on the floor laughing. Am I the asshole for not giving my mom her monthly money so I could have extra spending money on my vacation? For context, I, 26F, give my mom a set amount of money every month. She's retired and gets a pension, but she says it's not enough to cover her expenses. She insists that it's my responsibility as her daughter to help her out financially. My sister and her husband give my mom more money than I do, and they have a baby, which makes me feel even guiltier. They often remind me that they manage to give more, even with their extra responsibilities. This month, I decided not to give my mom her usual amount because I planned a 10-day vacation with my fiancé to another city. I could have still gone on the trip while giving her the money, but I wanted to have more spending money to fully enjoy my time away. Now my mom is upset, and her attitude toward me has shifted. This isn't the first time she's been cold or distant when I couldn't, or didn't, give her money. Even though I know I could technically afford both, I feel guilty for choosing to prioritize myself and my vacation instead. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for skipping my monthly contribution to my mom so I could have more financial freedom on my trip? Edit 1. I did tell her I wouldn't be able to send her money this month. That's why she said no matter what happens it's my responsibility to help her financially. I didn't give her a month notice, just some days before I went on vacation. Edit 2. Some of you have been asking what her pension is. It's $1,400 United States dollars, but we live in Colombia so life here is cheaper than in the US. For some perspective. Edit 3. For everyone saying I shouldn't be giving her any money and that is not my responsibility, I've tried to tell her I'll help her out when I can, but this only leads to her growing resentment towards me, turning cold, etc. I basically have no other option because if I don't send anything my family says I'm an AH, if I send only when I can they also get angry because my sister helps monthly. The only way to keep them happy is to send her money each month. I do feel used and honestly I only send not because I feel it in my heart but because I feel it's the only way to keep peace in the family and avoid drama. Edit 4. I give her $250 United States dollars monthly. My sister gives her the double of that plus she covers the expenses of lighting service. My mother lives alone in a big apartment she owns so it's a bit more expensive than a regular apartment. Not the asshole, you are being used and guilted to take care of your mother, not only by your mother, but your sister and her husband as well. I'm curious as to how much her pension is. My income is my income and that is what I live on. While helping her out sometimes is nice, doing it monthly seems excessive. Not the asshole, children are under no obligation to pay their parents' bills. Maybe help them when you can but make sure you're taking care of your own finances first, savings. Given that you're 26, I'm guessing your mother has years to go before she's considered elderly. Why isn't your mom asking her children for money anyway? Is she permanently disabled? You get to enjoy yourself, it's your money not hers. As for sister, since she's a two-income household they're able to give more than you. But again, why is your mom expecting either of you to support her? Not the asshole. She's a narcissist, and you have been born and bred her victim. The guilt you feel is manufactured, and her shaming and guilt trips are purposeful manipulation. It is not your responsibility as a child to take care of your parent, rather, it is the opposite. You do not owe your parents anything. Especially with the situation seeming like she is lying. There is no way she is unable to cover her basic payments. She must be overspending and making you purchase all her luxuries. Check out R. Raised by narcissists. Edit. Her pension is $1,400 USD in Colombia, which is like 7,000 United States dollars in America. And she is taking payments from your brother? Absolute liar. She doesn't need shit. Cease paying her anything now or forever be a fool. Info. Did you give your mom notice that you wouldn't be giving her money this month? In general, I disagree that it's your responsibility to support her, and she sucks for punishing you by being cold and distant. But if you had this tacit agreement and pulled the rug out from under her, you may have put her in a very bad spot financially with no notice. I have questions. Does your mom's pension, sister's allowance, and your part cover her expenses? Would she have enough without your contribution? Did you mention to her that you wouldn't cover your monthly allowance, which I believe she was counting on it, or just didn't send it and said nothing? Not the asshole. I don't know what the general consensus will be, but I could also be biased because I don't think you should be obligated to pay for your parents. You're giving money every month. You should be allowed to skip once so you can enjoy a vacation. I understand kids are expensive, but they made the decision to have the child. They are also two people, so I'm assuming potentially dual income? What happens if you have kids? Or your sister has two more children and cannot afford to send your mom more money? Is she going to rely on you both until she dies? Am I the asshole for refusing to help out my old music club after they kicked me out? For some backstory, I, 21M, have been part of my uni's music club for a little more than a year up until this September. I first auditioned as a guitarist and got in around September 2023, and because of connections I have in the music scene here, I've been very involved in the music industry since I was 14. I help provide certain things for free that weren't available to the club before: sound engineers, studio time, access to certain events, etc. I agreed to with the board at the time and decided to keep my involvement on the low as it would undermine the board a bit and might cause problems. The issue started when a new board was elected this semester, and it just so happens that the new president is someone that belonged to the same friend group within the club, which ended up breaking up and we fell into two different sides. We will be calling her Emma to make things easier. As soon as Emma got elected, she decided to kick us out for being problematic, and that was that. At first I thought about cutting them off right after I was out, but some of my friends were still part of the club and already had performances planned and I didn't want to ruin it for them. So I waited until the first event was done around late October and I talked to my contacts and told them that I will no longer be working with that club and thanked them for all the help. About a week after that I got a call from the old president who told me that Emma called her and asked for her to talk to the sound engineers as they don't want to talk to them anymore and aren't interested in working with them, and that's when she told them about our deal. And surely enough, I got an email that afternoon saying that I am invited to a meeting with the board to discuss club activities that I have been involved in the past year. To not go into what ended up being a 2-hour meeting, they basically asked me for help and said that they can't keep the club running without it as it would cost them a lot of money they don't have and that they are willing to have me back, and I said no. The following week word got out and I was bombarded with messages from members of the club telling me that it's not fair for me to punish them for what the board members did to me. My friends, ones still in the club and the ones that were kicked out with me, are all on my side, though I can feel that some are disappointed they won't be able to perform anymore. I do believe that since I'm not in the club anymore, I don't have to provide any help to them, but hearing the members' reaction and seeing my friends react that way as well makes me feel like I might be the asshole here. So, am I the asshole for refusing to help out my old music club after they kicked me out? Not the asshole. This sounds like a classic case of F around, find out. If you are still interested in participating with your friends, tell them you'll come back if Emma and all her minions resign. If not, wash your hands of it. It sounds like you have plenty of opportunities to play music. Hopefully this will also be a lesson everyone involved that music is a small world and petty shit like this has real costs and they should all grow up. The club existed before you. Why does Emma tell everyone she can't keep the club running now that you withdraw the perks they had for a year? Maybe Emma is not the right fit for the board and the club members should look into her direction, not yours. Not the asshole. Tell every club member to get lost if they cry or ramble. Or to vote for a new board that can keep the club running. Isn't that the core task of them? Like, you had one job? Style? Not the asshole. You cannot work with people who have shown enmity towards you. Stop, period. This is a time of transition that would have probably occurred anyway as you age and get involved in additional groups' S&D interests. So do not feel guilty, your true friends will understand. Not the asshole there, collateral damage, but you provided that help as a group member. Now you are not a group member. Clearly the board effed up, but that doesn't mean that you need to save them from the consequences of their decisions. May I suggest starting a new club where you are on the board? As I understand it, you didn't tell the sound engineers not to help the club. You just said you weren't involved with the club anymore. The sound engineers can do favors for whomever they want and could keep helping the club if they wanted to. Apparently they don't want to. That's not on you. Not the asshole just reading the header, and even more so not the asshole after reading your post. If similar situation happened to me, I will never help my enemy after they burned the bridge. The club need you for your expertise and you are under no obligation to help. They reap what they sow.